So this scenario presents one of the most difficult situations that you might be presented with as an educator. One of your students has come to you and reported to you that she's been the victim of sexual violence. As I'm talking about this scenario, I'm going to use the pronoun she for the student who comes to you, but remember that sex discrimination can occur between people of the same sex or opposite sex. So the first thing that I would want to make sure that you understand is that university policy does prohibit discrimination and harassment based on sex, and sexual violence is a form of sex discrimination. So when the university has knowledge of a situation like this, it does have the responsibility to respond and address the situation. In this scenario, the student has asked you to keep it a secret, has asked for confidentiality. And I would suggest to you that you may not want to promise confidentiality without really understanding the situation. So what you could say to this student is, you know, you've told me something very serious, and I'm very concerned about your safety and your well-being, so I don't feel like I can keep this a secret. But what I promise you is that I will only tell someone who can help, and you and I will figure that out together. So hopefully saying something like that will put the student's fears at ease. Another thing that you may want to consider is, again, is the student safe right now? So you may want to ask the student, how are you? How are you doing? Do you feel safe? So if the student is still in a situation where they're in contact with the other student, that's where you need to consider putting some kind of safety plan in place. And that's why you may not want to promise confidentiality until you really understand the situation. Now you could ask the student, have you told anyone else? Have you gone to any other offices at the university? And if the student has, then that would give you a better idea of what role you might be able to play. But if the student hasn't told anyone else and you're the only one they've told, that's where you really need to think about getting help for the student. Now the other thing in this scenario is that the incident happened off campus at a party. So you may be wondering, does the university have a responsibility to even get involved in this situation? The answer in this scenario, I think, would be yes. If the incident is impacting the student's access to our educational program, then the university does have a responsibility to take action, respond, and ensure that the student is safe from any further misconduct. So what might your options be in helping this student? One of the options I would suggest is Safe Campus, especially if the student is in a situation where she's feeling unsafe. What Safe Campus can do is help create a protection plan or a safety plan for the student, and that's something that you may not be able to really do on your own, especially if the student may be in a class with the other student or in a dorm with the other student, or even involved in some other kind of university activities with the other student. The other resource I would suggest is the Sexual Assault and Relationship Information Service, or SARIS, and there's information for SARIS on the web page. What SARIS can do is to provide the student with options and other resources like the Student Counseling Office. And SARIS is in a much better position than you are to talk to the student about their options in regards to confidentiality or making a report to other university offices. Now, what kind of options may the student have if they do wish to make a complaint about the other student? The Community Standards and Student Conduct Office is responsible for responding to and investigating complaints brought by anyone about the behavior of university students and potential violations of the Student Conduct Code. Another option could be to contact the university police department, because certainly if someone believes that they may have been a victim of a crime, going to law enforcement is always an option. And the UW-PD does have their own victim advocate, and she can help with navigating the legal system or looking into protection orders or those kinds of things that can be very difficult to manage. So my final thought for you is that if you find yourself in a situation where a student has come to you about such a serious situation, is to get help. Don't try to handle this on your own. Contact any of the offices. You can contact me, you can contact Safe Campus, you can contact SARIS. There's no wrong phone call to make.